How money brought down the ancient Roman civilization. When people imagine the fall of Rome, the same scenes usually come to mind. Barbarians storming cities, legions collapsing, emperors being lynched in palace intrigues or poisoned to death. But the truth is, empires rarely collapse that way. The real decay almost always begins from within, and one of the most important drivers of that internal collapse has always been money. Rome did not fall solely because of external enemies. It fell because its treasury was empty. And this story remains strikingly relevant today for every ruling power that thinks, what harm could it do if we just tinker with money a little? Now picture the scene. Rome's currency was the silver denarius, first minted around 211 BC. It was made of nearly pure silver. Soldiers were paid with it, merchants traded with it, and people stored their savings in it. The denarius was more than a medium of exchange. It was the tangible embodiment of trust in Rome itself. As long as people believed in Rome, its money inspired confidence. But maintaining a vast empire is an extraordinarily expensive endeavor. Armies, roads, aqueducts, wars, all of it depends on money. By the 2nd century AD, Rome's burden had grown heavy. The empire was fighting Germanic raiders in the west and the Parthians in the east, while also trying to suppress unrest at home. Tax revenues were no longer sufficient. Increasing taxes further on an already burdened population was risky. So emperors chose an easier path. They hollowed out the money itself. The denarius looked the same, but its silver content was gradually reduced. Under Augustus, the coin was about 95% silver. Over the following centuries, this fell first to 50%, then to below 5%. Eventually, what remained was little more than a bronze coin thinly coated with silver. Did people notice? Of course they did. As the value of money fell, prices exploded. The grain market was thrown into chaos. Wheat that once cost a single denarius soon required dozens. Ordinary people could no longer sustain their daily lives. Soldiers demanded higher pay, saying, "We can't survive on this salary." Merchants began refusing denarii and instead demanded silver, gold, or other forms of real value. People resorted to barter just to keep trade alive. As trust declined, emperors responded by minting even more denarii. The empire spiraled into a full-blown economic deadlock. Unfortunately, this episode would become a recurring pattern throughout world economic history. This process culminated in what is known as the crisis of the 3rd century. For nearly 50 years, Rome was plagued by revolts, epidemics, social conflict, and economic collapse. Emperors were rapidly overthrown and executed. Yet the underlying problem was always the same: a dysfunctional monetary system. The state intervened in the market with a monopolistic mindset, forcibly fixing prices. Diocletian, known for his agricultural reforms, imposed maximum price controls on many goods and services and punished those who violated them. The result? A booming black market. Official commerce collapsed. Why? Because no healthy economy can stand on a debased currency. Eventually, the era of the denarius came to an end. Under Constantine the Great, it was replaced by the solidus, a coin backed by pure gold. This currency functioned successfully for centuries in the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire. But for the Western Roman empires, which had once made monumental advances in urbanization, philosophy, and astronomy, it was already too late. Rome's economic foundation had decayed beyond repair. The army could no longer be financed. Trade networks had broken down, and trust had been utterly destroyed. Rome's fall was not a single event, but a prolonged disintegration, and the decline of its monetary system was one of the central pillars of that collapse. Money was corrupted, trust vanished, and the system rotted from within. So what should we take from this historical experience today? This: when you interfere with the nature of money, you disrupt the balance and habits of society itself. Rome believed it could deceive people in order to gain more. Today, governments quietly influence inflation by printing money beyond its real backing, disguising unnecessary debt and manipulating interest rates. Privileged groups profit from debt-driven gains, while the cost is always borne by the public. The result: wealth evaporates, people grow poorer, and trust gives way to fear. And this story does not end with Rome. In Weimar Germany, people carried their salaries in wheelbarrows and barrels. In Zimbabwe, prices in markets doubled daily. Economic conditions may change overnight, but one rule has never changed. Those who lived on debt survived, while those who saved for hard times were impoverished. It is easy to say, this doesn't apply to my country, but caution is necessary. Even the United States ended its link between money and gold in 1971. Since then, money has been built purely on trust, and that trust has been slowly eroding along with people's purchasing power. The money may look the same, but it no longer buys what it once did. Visually, money is still the same, but it is now little more than a piece of paper protected only against counterfeiting. The danger is at the door. Economic processes now operate on a global scale. Monetary systems around the world function according to the same logic. If trust in money is damaged beyond repair, the consequences will not be confined to a single country. The entire world will be affected. Like metastasis, it will spread everywhere. From this, we must draw these conclusions. Inflation is not a disaster, it is a choice. A piece of paper cannot represent real value. Every system eventually weakens and loses its stability. Even Marcus Aurelius, regarded as one of the greatest leaders in Roman history for prioritizing public good over personal wealth, ensuring fair distribution of resources, and curbing excess, could not have imagined that Rome's money would one day become worthless, but it did. Rome's story whispers this to us. The collapse of a nation usually begins not with enemies breaching its walls, but with money stolen from its treasury through debasement. And history teaches us clearly and unequivocally. If you fail to internalize these lived experiences, the future will cut you in exactly the same way.